Hello, Coleman229 here with another Topic of the Week video. This week I'll be doing another talk on Harry Potter. This week's topic was submitted by Tumblr anon, and their topic is the friendship of the main trio in Harry Potter and how you would have changed their group dynamic. Interesting thing to talk about. Now, I did talk about this before in a collaborative video I did with Angel89 about the Star Wars original trilogy trio of Han, Luke, and Leia, and why, their dynamic worked. And I won't go over everything, but one point I do want to bring back from that is that when you're setting up main characters, one of the best setups is to have a trio. Because then you get a multitude of different kinds of interactions, from all three together to just two interacting, or just watching one person. You get a whole bunch of different ways to look at these characters. So you can completely change what's going on between them, or the conversations they're having, by switching two out, and you can do this in numerous different ways. As a writer, this gives you a lot of different opportunities to write them in different scenarios, saying different things, establishing different things, and exploring their characters from different angles. Now, in Harry Potter, I'll give J.K. Rowling credit for this. She did create a really nice trio. The trio of Harry, Ron, and Hermione the setup for it is actually kind of nice. Sure, she didn't end up taking advantage of it, and it ended up being pretty bad because the writing in the Harry Potter series got pretty bad. But the setup for the characters is actually really nice. You have Harry, who's new to the main character, new to the wizarding world, and he's amazed at just seeing all these wondrous things. So he works well as an audience surrogate, so that we can be introduced to new magic and explanations and locations, and have them explained to us without it being forced. Like, you're not taking someone who's familiar with the Wizarding world and having to explain what Hogwarts is, what Hogsmeade is, Diagon Alley and stuff, because it would come off as forced. But with Harry, it works. On top of that, he's got a, sympathetic, comes from a pretty abusive background, and also very, courageous, which is why you got put in Gryffindor. You have Ron, who's just your sort of normal guy. He's in the Wizarding world his whole life. As far as he's concerned, all these wondrous things that impress Harry are just normal things. So he's going to come in from a different perspective from Harry, being, normal stuff. And from his perspective and his experience, especially looking at his knowledge, wizarding chess, and the first book, he's going to look at things from a different perspective, maybe come up with a slightly different, maybe an orthodox view. And he's also kind of more brash in some ways, but friendly and nice, and has a nice family. And you have Hermione, who's the intelligent one, who's also new to the wizarding world, but she's studied up. So she knows more than the two of them, Harry and Ron combined. But she's also got her own little personality quirks, especially when she was younger. So you have all these different kinds of ways you can make these characters interact. Harry and Ron and Hermione, Hermione and Harry, the three of them together. So you actually have a really nice setup here. Here's the problem. The writing, that ultimately is one of the biggest problems, because you have stuff in the books that basically sort of betrays the characters themselves, like Ron hating Harry for getting into the Triwizard Tournament, despite the fact that he's insistent, I didn't enter this, I don't want this, on top of the fact that I shouldn't even be able to. And why would I cast all this crazy magic to do something that might get me killed? And of course, then he throws a fit. Then he throws a fit back around, and he was just a kind of a dick and Goblet of Fire. But one of the things that you could probably look at these characters, and a lot of people have broken this down in, excuse me, I'm sorry. One of the things a lot of people have broken this down to: Harry's got courage. He can face the bad guys. Ron's got his steadfastness and his friendship. and then Hermione's got her intelligence. And you might be thinking, wait a minute, that sounds like Gryffindor, Hufflepuff, and Ravenclaw, doesn't it? And that's what a lot of people have said, and I strongly agree. They should be in different houses. Now, I understand why J.K. Rowling did this. Well, first of all, she thinks that Gryffindor is the good house, Ravenclaw is the snooty house, Slytherin is evil, and then Hufflepuff is... by the kitchen? Which is really annoying because I'm a Hufflepuff. I mean, seriously. I even got a Hufflepuff hoodie from the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. Like, I'm pretty big on Hufflepuff. But, regardless, one of the problems that she has is that she basically shoehorns all three of them into Gryffindor. And yeah, they do bravery and stuff, but it's one thing that was sorely lacking from the Harry Potter books and the Harry Potter universe is inter-house friendships. I know I've said this before, but this is something that really could have been illustrated really well with the main trio. If you had Harry as a Gryffindor, Hermione as a Ravenclaw, and Ron as a Hufflepuff, and they become friends despite being in different houses, that's actually pretty neat. Now, of course, they couldn't have their late night, talks in the common room, which obviously was stuff done out of convenience, but still. It's more of an interesting idea to have them in different houses. I did mention that it seems like she went out of her way to not have that. I mean, with Cedric Diggory, who was a Hufflepuff, he got killed off in the same book he was introduced in. With Cho Chang, she got severely derailed. Her relationship with Harry was destroyed, which I did talk about in my video on the Hinny relationship. And then you have Luna, also from Ravenclaw, who might as well be just Gryffindor, considering the fact that she seems to have no loyalty to her house at all and seems to care only about Gryffindor. See, this is one of the biggest problems with Rowling's writing when it comes to the characters. And I think this is really exemplified strongly in the main trio. They're not allowed to be from different houses, despite the fact that it would make more sense. A lot of people said that Ron should have been a Hufflepuff, and I agree. A lot of people say that Hermione should have been a Ravenclaw, which I strongly agree. I mean, the whole house setup seems off because Rowling just kind of throws these characters in wherever she wants. If you're a bad guy, she throws you to Slytherin. If you're smart, unless you're Hermione, you get put in Ravenclaw. So why isn't Hermione in Ravenclaw? Well, narrative convenience, and Rowling didn't want to write that, which is dumb. If I had the chance to change their group dynamic, I would have changed their houses, except for Harry. I mean, really, nothing much changes outside of meeting in the common room. But they sneak out enough at night anyway, so it's not really like it would matter to them. But when you have the Harry Potter trio being from different houses, you actually get some more interesting stuff. One, Gryffindor wouldn't be the only house that's explored, which is truly sad. When you really think about it, what's the only house that ever gets any real attention in the series? Gryffindor. Slytherin does for 5 seconds in the Chamber of Secrets when Harry and Ron sneak into the common room, but do we know anything about Hufflepuff and Ravenclaw outside of a few obscure facts? Oh well, I think we know where their common room is, but we don't know anything about them, which is dumb, because across 7 books, you can't explore the other houses a little bit, and this is something that we would would be very good, and especially, and I do like the idea of having Draco eventually become friends, because then if you have them all from different houses, guess what you now have? You have 4 characters from each of the different houses. And isn't that supposed to be what it's all about? I mean, really. Why would you set up the 4 houses from the 4 founders, and you don't do anything with it? Supposedly these founders work together, except for Salazar Slytherin, who is a mind-numbingly evil psychopath villain who might as well just be Wizard Hitler. And then apparently he was able to build a school with a bunch of other good people. Yeah, I've already talked about, me and a friend have already talked about the absurdities of how Rowling wrote Slytherin. But when you have Harry from Gryffindor, you have Ron from Hufflepuff, you have Hermione from Ravenclaw, and then you have Draco from Slytherin. You have these 4 as a team. This is honestly one of the best ideas you could possibly do with the series, because 1, you're making Hufflepuff relevant, and Ravenclaw too. You're disproving, all the horrible stereotypes about Slytherin, and then Harry, being the leader. I mean, you could have a whole team, and honestly, then you add a couple characters like Luna, then you add Neville, and a couple other characters. I mean, at some points in the series, I do remember specifically in Order of the Phoenix, when Harry basically led the rescue mission for Sirius. Or was it Sirius? I think so. It's been a while since I've read the book, but he led a whole team into the Ministry of Magic, which was pretty epic, reading it. So, you have this interesting possibilities with all these characters, especially if you introduce characters like Cho. And honestly, I won't retread my talk about Cho, but Harry in a relationship with someone from another house. I mean, shouldn't the houses be working together? And shouldn't the main characters exemplify one of the core ideals and prove that, yeah, it's possible for the 4 houses to work together? Draco should have had that redemption long before the end of the series. I mean, we should have had this stuff happen. Because the core reason why I would like to change that element of their characters is because, like I said, it exemplifies what Hogwarts is supposed to be about. You have 4 different houses, each house representing a different virtue. It should be virtue, because it's basically good guys, idiots, snobs, evil. I mean, the houses have all these virtues tied to them, but they're never really explored. And having a group of 4 main characters who each exemplify the group, who exemplify each house's main trait, you have a lot you can do with that. And you can switch things up between Hermione's perspective, Ron's perspective, Draco's perspective. Not just from Harry's perspective, because, come on, just from Harry's perspective, when there's so much you can be exploring with these other main characters. I mean, by the end of the series, it ended up just being the Harry, Ron, and Hermione show, and basically just the Harry show in the end. That stupid prophecy. Changing the group dynamic, and specifically changing the houses, is one of the biggest missed opportunities that Rowling ever had. It's something that, on some level, she must have realized, because when she's writing, and I don't remember which book it was, if it was like 3 or 4, whatever, someone specifically says, Hermione, you're really intelligent. It's weird that you're not in Ravenclaw. And then the book just kind of like, I guess, it just kind of leaves it at that and moves on. It's like, okay, no, wait. It's a good question. If the Sorting Hat bases you on, your personality and what you on what ideals you, or what virtues you have and what you believe in, why wouldn't it place her in Ravenclaw? Wouldn't someone who values intelligence want to be in a house full of, the smart kids? But she got put in the brave house, which honestly I think you can just sum up Gryffindor as the jocks. And again, like I said, this isn't something that Rowling did because she thought there was something interesting she could do with it. It was out of convenience. Make all three main characters part of the same house. Because Harry fits in Gryffindor. Especially I do have to give credit. The plot of Chamber of Secrets does basically reinforce Harry's choice as being a Gryffindor. And then there's nothing really much done with that. Why are all the Weasleys placed in Gryffindor? Are the Weasley family just particularly brave? Because it seems extremely lazy to just, for the sorting out, just be like, Weasley, Gryffindor. Why? You want to keep the family together? Is there a specific reason for this? Why not put him in Hufflepuff? And again, it's near to convenience because Rowling isn't that good of a writer. And it's so frustrating looking back at this and the possibilities that could have been done with the characters. Because holy crap, if you had each of them from the different houses, the writing possibilities, as a writer, I'm excited at the thought of being able to write that. So much you can do with that. But Rowling didn't care because she's not a good enough writer for that. And that really, that is super disappointing. Because, really, a nice setup for a trio, possibly a group of 4 or 5, 6. You can expand the roster of the main characters with the different interesting characters that surround Harry, Ron, and Hermione, and not just make Harry, Ron, and Hermione boring and bland. But really, it's but really, it's just really disappointing because Harry Potter as a series has so much potential, had so much potential, that over 7 books, which Rowling said she wanted 7 books for a long time, ended up basically floundering with the story after the 3rd book. And the trio honestly ended up being pretty bad. Hermione got really unbearable at times. Like, Ron got really unbearable being selfish and a douche at times. And Harry got really obnoxious, just being this totally self-absorbed prick who all he really cared about was getting credit for what he did. And it's like, hey, dude, you're saving the world. I know you're a teenager, but we don't need your wizarding teenage angst. Honestly, they should be balancing each other out, and that should be another thing that's part of their dynamic. They should balance each other out. But that's probably too high of a concept for Rowling. So yes, in summary, change the houses, balance each other out is really the 2 main things that really need to be done with these characters. Expand the houses. By making the characters different houses, you've now expanded the story to incorporate the other houses, instead of it just being the Gryffindor show and treating Gryffindor like the almighty, wonderful, super good house, and Slytherin is pure evil, and then the other 2 don't matter. It's just lousy writing. And it's almost enforced, because let's just give Gryffindor the 3 main characters. Sure, sometimes it might be justified to do stuff like this in a story, but with Harry Potter, it's really not. you set up your own rules, and it's just like, yeah, but those rules don't really matter. Yeah, the Sorting Hat chooses you based on they're on Gryffindor. They're on Gryffindor. Really. No. Yeah, I think that's about it for this topic. So if you want to watch last week's topic video, you can check that out here. If you want to watch next week's topic video, you can check that out here when I get that done. If you want to submit a topic, just make sure you follow the rules that I'll post down below in both Tumblr and YouTube, and make sure that when you submit a topic, you can submit and it follows the rules of being about something fictional. It's not something super like serious in real life, like politics. And if you're not sure if I know about something, then just ask me. If you're on YouTube, you can simply comment below and ask me and send a topic you want, or if you're on Tumblr, send me an ask and do topic : and then whatever topic you want me to talk about. So that's it for this weekend. Thank you for watching.